Hi everybody, welcome to the OAG RC. I'm Craig, and this is my 2022 OAG Awards video majigger. Now, what I thought I'd do is just sort of go through some of the highlights really from the Orchard Raceway series, from the Festival Scale Speed, and a few other special mentions of RCs that I've enjoyed running and or building this year. So let's start off with the Orchard Raceway series, and we'll go from there. So third place in the Orchard Raceway was the awesome Tamiya TD2. I actually thought this thing was going to do slightly better, but hey, it is what it is. It finished the regular season in first spot, and that's what made me think I was going to see it as a winner for the year. But unfortunately, in the finale, it only managed a time of 6.84 on the track, which put it in third place. So it now wears proudly at the back here, which you can't see, third place for 2022. But hopefully, we'll see it do a little bit better next year. So who was in second? Second place went to the rear-wheel drive DT03. 6.81, so only 3/100ths of a second between second and third. But this thing just about made it. If I remember, the time that it did was completely out of whack with everything else it did on the day. It did one super hot lap and managed to get it in second place. But, you know, it's a good vehicle. I like it. It's a great buggy. If you're starting out in the hobby, great place to start. This one's had a whole bunch of hop-ups. Without the hop-ups, it probably wouldn't be as quick as it did. But hey, it's up there, and I'm sure it'll be up there again next season around the Orchard Raceway. So let's get down first place. And in first place, gold for the season, as it says on the rear wing for 2022, was the awesome four-wheel drive TT02B. 6.57 seconds, fastest time round the Orchard Raceway. Still undecided whether the Orchard Raceway will run in exactly the same track format next year. If it does, this is the record holder. If it doesn't, then we start with a level playing field and we just go again. I was massively impressed with the way this ultimately performed. I always thought it was going to do well. I didn't think it would do 6.57 on the day, but hey, it did. And that is, I suppose, a testament to how good this car is out of the box, because there's not a lot different on here other than a standard TT02B. So, where does that leave us? Well, a couple of other little mentions on the cars that ran in the Orchard Raceway before we move on to the retirees for the season. Right, firstly, the Must Try Harder award goes to the MO5 RA. The reason that is my Must Try Harder award is it finished sort of a disappointing, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 14th on the Orchard Raceway, which I thought it might have done a bit better than that, given it's got a torque tube motor in, given that it's got little rally wheels on it and it's got CVAs on it. I was expecting a little bit more. But this thing sort of struggles a little bit to get the most out of it. And I think it's a bit better than that. So I'm going to have a little play around with it, tweak it a little bit before next season, see if I can get a bit more out of it. But I think it needs to run a bit better. It's in danger, if I'm honest, of being sort of booted out of the Orchard Raceway altogether. Not going to happen this year. You will see it again. But if it finishes bottom again, there's not a lot left stuck and hop up on this, other than maybe a bit of a peppier motor inside there. There's nowhere else for it to go because it sort of is what it is. But hey, must try harder. So, from must try harder, let's now talk about what was the most impressive. And the most impressive performer on the Orchard Raceway this season was my old classic Grasshopper, which had a new lease of life with its new body and decals, which my brother will be really annoyed that I've scuffed up and wrecked already. But I mean, it's got a 380 motor in it, some oil-filled shocks, admittedly, and I did put bearings in it. But man, it was doing so well out on the track for such a long period of time. And that was with me having to go around the jump. It didn't do as well in the festival scale speed, but that's because it maxed out far too quickly. But around the Orchard Raceway, this thing's brilliant. And yeah, did better than I was expecting, really. But that's what the most impressive award's all about, really. Who went above and beyond. Now, the next one is for the most consistent performer on the Orchard Raceway. The most consistent RC around the Orchard Raceway last year was the wonderful XV01 chassis. And the reason it got the award for the most consistent is it had the lowest standard deviation of all of its lap times. The standard deviation was 0.51. The nearest one, I think, was about 0.8, which was the TD2, interestingly enough. But this thing, everything was just really condensed. All the lap times are very, very close together because it's a really easy chassis to drive consistently, certainly around a short track like the Orchard Raceway. You'll notice this one's a bit dirty at the minute because it's been out and had a run on some tarmac recently. When I say tarmac, it was sort of tarmac stroke gravelly concrete. We had a blast with it. We had a wonderful time, and I want to put some running video of that out in the new year so you can see what we got up to. It's got some body scratches now and some decal slices and cuts, and I think I even ran the front somewhere, which you can't probably see unless I change the angle of this. I actually smashed the front up a little bit as well. Very unforgiving if you get it wrong, but awesome fun, great chassis. Everyone should have one. Now, the next award is it's called the OAG Special Award, just because it's cool. This year's OAG Special Award goes to the Kyosho Raider rebuild that I did. This thing, sort of mid-table in the Orchard Raceway, mid-table in the Festival Scale Speed, but do you know what? It's so much fun to drive. And Mark and Rob did a video where they compared some Tamiya motors, and they put the Carson Super Cup, whatever it is, that's in this, up against the Sport Tuned and the Torque Tuned, and it was like really, really bad compared to those other motors. So what I think I'm going to do is whip that out of here and just stick a regular Silver Cannon for next season. And I reckon this will actually go a lot faster round the Orchard Raceway and in next season's Festival of Scale Speed with a different motor in it. This could be a little contender, but it's definitely, I mean, just look at it. It's a cool looking RC, especially with those, I think they were the Scorpion wheels on and the Riri tyres on the back and those big ball shocks. It's just an ace looking car now. I really like it. And, you know, everyone knows that I love my Raider. It's my favourite, my first RC, and will always be my favourite RC, even if it's not my favourite performing RC. But this one is awesome. Right, next award is all about those RCs that are retiring from the Orchard Raceway season this year. And let's bring them out one at a time. So the reason they're coming out one at a time is I wouldn't be able to get them all on the bench at the same time. The Lunchbox, standard stock Lunchy, is not going to be running the Orchard Raceway next year. I mean, its time was 10.17, which, given the TTO2B did it in 6.54, it's safe to say it's quite a way off the pace. And I just don't think I can get it any quicker, to be fair. So rather than every year, I probably spent more time trying to get 5 clean laps on this than I did running half the cars. So it's not going to happen going forward. It might come out for a little comedy run around the track once or twice a year, but it's certainly not going to be running in the series going forward. This also was the winner of the Wooden Spoon this year. I haven't written that on the chassis because my daughter wouldn't like it, me putting on there that it was the slowest car on the track. So yeah, Lunchbox is out of the running for next year. You can't retire one Lunchbox without retiring another. So unfortunately, I'm also going to retire the Midnight Pumpkin Lunchbox edition as well, which you've only seen for the first time running in the Festival of Scale Speed the other week. But this one also isn't going to be any quicker around the track because I can't control it. As you can see, The front wheel doesn't look particularly happy around here either. So I don't know what's gone on there, but something's not right with it, bless it. And look, I love my lunchbox. I think they're great. And I will always take it out and blast it and have some fun with it, but not round the Orchard Raceway. Just not the place for it anymore. So, retiring, also this one. I'm going to switch out that lovely BZ motor in there as well and use that for something else in the future. So, 2 lunchbox retirees, and I've got one more, unfortunately. My original Kyosho Raider is going to be retired from running in the Orchard Raceway. Now, it finished 3rd from bottom. And while it put up a pretty good fight, actually, given that it only actually did 4 laps around the Orchard Raceway before it broke, I don't want to run the risk of never being able to drive this again. So the idea is I'm going to fix it up, repair the MSC. Thank you, Andy Robinson, for sending me a brand new Kyosho MSC to put in this out of his Raider Pro, which he doesn't need. That's going to go in here. It's going to fix up the problem. And we might see it once a year, a procession around the track, shall we say, before the real season gets going. But this thing's not doing any jumps. It's not doing anything crazy. It will just pootle around every year, make sure everything still works with those good old-fashioned electronics before going back on the shelf again for another year. But I will always want to drive this, so I'm always going to keep it running, and I'm going to try and get it out every single year, but not going to be hammering around the laps. That's what the other one's for. Now, the next thing I want to show you is who won the Festival of Scale Speed. So the bad dudes won the Festival of Scale Speed. Their total time was 256 seconds, 0.99. So let's just round it up to 257. Derek was not the fastest for the bad dudes, but I think he would have been had I not crushed him. This RC is becoming awesome. And I'm officially going to be naming the holiday buggy, which is Mini OAG's holiday buggy, donated to the channel by our friend Peter at CW01 Creations. Hi Peter, how you doing? Hope you're good. Hope Maze is doing good. And also has had some community hop-ups from Jess. Hi Jess, thanks a lot. And we'll have some more community hop-ups coming in the new year. But what I thought I would do is basically call this the community car. And if anyone wants to send in Mini OAG any hop-ups for her holiday buggy, feel free to do so. If you've got any ideas of what we should do with the holiday buggy, please send them over. This is the community's car, and we will continue to have fun with this car until we break it, and then we will try and fix it with the community's help as well. But the bad dudes did not win the fastest time of the day at the Festival of Scale Speed. That was reserved for our next car. And it feels very fitting that I finish these awards. It feels fitting that I finish these awards back pretty much where we started, with the TD2, which was the winner of the Festival of Scale Speed 22, and it says so there on its wing. Every year we will be writing the awards of the cars on them, so I would imagine over time, hopefully this one's going to fill the wing, fill the body, loads of scribble on it. No one's going to want to buy it ever in the future, but that's fine because it will sit in my collection forever with plenty of sentimental value of all the awards that it's won over the next however many years that I do this before either YouTube decides that no one wants to watch RC videos again, which probably won't stop me, or life gets in the way and I can't do it anymore, which I hope that doesn't ever get to be the case. So, there you go. Wrap up of the 2022 season here at the OAG. Now, we've got some build videos coming over the next couple of weeks, which I hope you all find really, really interesting. I've still got the DF03 to finish up, which is in a box of parts behind me. So I can't put that on the desk and show you what that looks like or what that's going to look like for next season. What I can tell you is the top 4 buggies from the season will make an appearance definitely in the Festival of Scale Speed, the Orchard Raceway season next year. That is the TD2 that you've seen here, the DTO3, and last season's winner, the TT02B. But can you remember who was 4th place in the Orchard Raceway series? It wasn't the Cougar, it was my Hotshot. So the Hotshot will definitely be part of the Hero Racing League for 2023's Orchard Raceway series. But we have to pick some other cars because I've retired a few. So we have to pick some other cars to join the fleet. So what we're going to do is we've got the Cougar, which currently doesn't have a racing stable. We did run it for the bad dudes this year, but that doesn't mean it necessarily has to be a bad dude. We've got the DF03, which we're building up, so that will go in. Plus, we've got 2 new builds, which we're going to see over the next couple of weeks. And what I'm going to do is allow you, the lovely viewers of the OAG RC, to vote for which cars you want to see on the Orchard Raceway next season from the draft. So there'll be 4 cars to pick from. I'll set up a poll, probably in the late winter, early spring, and say, hey, here's the 4 cars, the Cougar, the DF03, and the other 2. You guys pick which 2 you want to see. The other 2, we'll stick them back in the draft for next year. And it might be that they sit in the draft forever and a day and we never see them run. They'll always run in the Festival of Scale Speed, of course. So, once you've decided who's running, we'll get them in, and then we'll draw the other 3 cars to run alongside the 2 from the finals, plus the draft cars. We'll draw 3 more cars out of the pools, and that'll be the 6 cars that run on the Orchard Raceway the next season. So there will be probably 2 or 3 cars a year that won't run. You'll only see those in the Festival of Scale Speed. And the reason I'm doing that is, 1, there's just too many cars to get out on the track every year and do the Orchard Raceway with, 20 cars or whatever it is that I've got in the fleet now. But also it makes the Festival of Scale Speed that little bit more special because you'll see every car running on that weekend out on the track doing its thing. Right, enough waffle. Thanks for bearing with me. Hope you've enjoyed this little video. And whatever you do over the winter holidays, have some blooming good old-fashioned fun. And I will see you all very soon on the OAG RC. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye now.